Here is the CougarBoard question of the week on the Wise Guys. If you're not familiar with the CougarBoard, it's the largest online community of BYU fans. Thousands of posts every day. This question comes from Laser Coug, one of their insider subscribers, who asks, we've had multiple games where the other team changed up their look at the start. What can our coaches do differently to avoid getting caught flat-footed early in games, or maybe even out of position or in the wrong gaps?
Yeah, this is an interesting one because they have had a couple of games where the teams came out and didn't do what they normally do. I think was it Colorado that was
jumped out 14-0,
and they did something they hadn't done all year, right? Completely different. Mm-hmm. That wasn't the case this week. They practiced exactly what those guys did. They didn't give them a different look. They did have some guys back. They had Hansen back, the running back. This game was a matter of our some of the guys on defense not being where they were supposed to be. They didn't make any adjustments to hold them to 3 points for the last almost 3/4 of the game. The adjustment was, guys, do what you're supposed to do. Like, play with more intensity, play harder. You got to fight. So you got to get off blocks, because not only do you need to be in your gap, you got to get off the blocks and make the play once you're in your gap, right? Mm-hmm. And they were just a little slow. And I'm not going to make excuses, but it was mostly linebackers in this game, and our linebackers were beat up going into this game, and then Ciali got hurt in the first quarter. And so I think part of it was that it's hard to be in a physical, go-get-after-it mindset when you're beat up. And this bye week comes at a very opportune time for those guys to get 2 weeks to get healthy and now go against Texas Tech, which now is the next biggest challenge of the year. I've always said that I thought that Iowa State game was going to be the biggest challenge because you didn't have a bye leading up to it and was coming off of, the biggest game of the year, which is always against your rival. And no matter what you say, you're gonna, if you're playing in another big game right after the big game, there's got to be a little bit of a letdown to do that. And people say, well, why didn't Utah have a letdown? Because Colorado was awful and missing like 20-something players, right?
Right, and they're fighting for their lives up there. And the more you win, the bigger the games get.
Right.
So Texas Tech is the biggest game of the year. They beat Texas Tech. It'll just shift to TCU.
Right.
And
then it'll be Cincinnati. So this one was a little bit different. Here's the other thing. You get caught flat-footed once in a while early in the season when teams are doing things they haven't done. And because East Carolina did some things they haven't done, right? As you get 7, 8, 9 games in the season, that doesn't really happen anymore. And that didn't happen in this game. Iowa State didn't do a bunch of new stuff because they had a bye before BYU. They did their stuff, and BYU just was out of position.
And they were fresh.
Yeah. And if you watch the FR, if you watch it, you'll note that we're going to point that out a little bit.
All right, Laser Coug, that is the CougarBoard question of the week. Thanks for asking it.